It's the 1990s and Universal Studios Hollywood is about to start work on their biggest attraction ever. In need of an e-ticket attraction, one that would send ripples through the theme park industry and establish the company as a real player in the space, Universal would invest over $100 million and hinge the entire studio on a genre that had fallen to the wayside: dinosaurs. Welcome back to another episode of Theme Park Lore, where today we'll be breaking down the history and lore of Universal Studios Hollywood's classic water attraction, Jurassic Park The Ride. After the success of films like Jaws, E.T., and the Indiana Jones trilogy, director Steven Spielberg was one of the most sought-after and untouchable directors in Hollywood history. Known for his grounded blockbusters focusing on ordinary people becoming heroes, Spielberg has become the most commercially successful director of all time and is considered to be the pioneer of the modern blockbuster movie, with several of his major films being distributed and produced by Universal Pictures, and with the studio aiming to challenge Disney's stake in the theme park business. Universal would contact Steven Spielberg to become the park's creative consultant and lend out his films for several attractions. Serving as a creative consultant for early attractions based on Jaws, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and Back to the Future, as well as attractions based on work his production company, Amblin Entertainment, worked on, like Men in Black and Twister, the two parties would work closely to translate blockbusters from the screen to theme park attractions in Universal Studios Hollywood and later Universal Studios Florida. Coming off a string of box office smashes, Spielberg was looking for his next project when he had a conversation with author and screenwriter Michael Crichton that would not only change the lives of both of them, but would alter the history of Universal forever. In discussing a screenplay he was working on that would later turn into the hit medical drama series ER, Crichton told Spielberg about an idea for a screenplay following a graduate student who recreates a dinosaur. While the screenplay would transition into a novel as Crichton was working on it, Spielberg immediately knew the potential the idea had for his next blockbuster film. While a bidding war with several directors and studios would ensue even before the novel's release in 1990, Universal Pictures and Spielberg would eventually acquire the rights for $1.5 million, as well as paying Crichton $500,000 to write the film's first draft, agreeing to direct Jurassic Park as his next film after Hook, which would allow him to then begin production on his passion project, Schindler's List. Work on the project began immediately. Taking 3 years to make and costing $63 million, Jurassic Park would release on June 11, 1993 to overwhelming critical and commercial success, leading it to not only be the most successful film of all time at that point, grossing over $1 billion, but remaining incredibly influential in revitalizing interest in dinosaurs and paleontology. However, even before the movie was shot, Spielberg had his eyes set on immersing guests in the world of Isla Nublar in ways that had never been attempted before. While Universal was putting up immense risk in trusting Steven Spielberg with hundreds of millions of dollars even before the novel was published, his track record with the studio proved his staying power, with E.T. being the previous biggest box office hit of all time. Even so, pumping $63 million, almost $147 million today, in any unproven project is a risky task. Somehow, Spielberg was able to convince the studio to not only grant him one of his biggest budgets yet, but also agree to create the most expensive theme park attraction at the time of its release, costing nearly double the film's budget. While work on Jurassic Park The Ride began officially in 1993, brainstorming from the team started in tandem with production on the film. Landmark Entertainment, a small attraction manufacturer started by former Disney Imagineer Tony Christopher, was contracted to develop the ride after previously working with Universal Studios on their live show The Adventures of Conan Sword and Sorcery Spectacular. After receiving the script for the film, Spielberg's team had initially pitched creating an attraction based on the movie's titular T-Rex Jeep chase scene. However, wanting to stray away from just recreating a big sequence from the film and instead making a companion piece to the source material, Christopher countered by recommending adapting a cut raft sequence from the novel. The sequence followed the novel's main characters on the Jungle River cruise ride, observing various dinosaurs before being chased by a T-Rex and falling down a waterfall, and was recommended by Landmark to provide Universal Studios Hollywood with a true e-ticket attraction. Setting out to create a show-stopping ride that could rival attractions like Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, Landmark would set out to make not only the most expensive shoot-the-chute attraction to that point, but also the biggest. Contracting Sarcos Robotics, a robotics company primarily building underwater devices for the US government, but who had previously created animatronics for attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean, the company set out to make 16 dinosaurs that not only looked convincing but could also withstand being constantly splashed by the ride's water features. Varying in size from the small velociraptors to the 5-story tall Ultrasaur, the ride's show-stopping animatronics are its two Tyrannosaurus Rexes, standing at 22 feet tall and 80,000 pounds, as well as a separate 7-foot tall head. The animatronic was purposely made bigger than the actual proportions of a T-Rex in order to scare riders even more before the attraction's final drop. Making their way through the Jurassic Park gates, guests enter a recreation of Isla Nublar, the island the film is set on. Being ushered through turnstiles, a cue video plays featuring actor Richard Attenborough reprising his role as John Hammond, Jurassic Park's founder, introducing guests to the concept of Jurassic Park and giving riders a peek of dinosaurs they might encounter on the attraction. Hammond tours the labs and security outposts tasked with creating the dinosaur clones and keeping guests safe as they embark on their river adventure. Developed by Dutch ride manufacturer Vekoma, Jurassic Park The Ride's ride vehicle is a flat-bottom boat, the largest amusement ride watercraft ever built, that can seat up to 25 people at a time with 5 people per row. After boarding the raft, guests will first make their way up a small ramp before gently entering the river and listening to the opening narration by Richard Kiley. After welcoming you to Jurassic Park, the gates are opened and riders will encounter their first 2 dinosaurs, the mother and baby Ultrasaurus, as well as 2 Psittacosauruses. Slowly moving through the river, the raft makes its way into a cave and encounters a baby and adult Stegosaurus, the latter of which is 18 feet tall and 40 feet long. Passing through erupting geysers, the ride passes 2 dinosaurs fighting over a popcorn bucket before being sprayed by a Parasaurolophus hiding in the water. Being knocked off course from the soothing river journey, the raft accidentally enters the raptor containment area instead of the planned Hadrosaur Cove, being blocked by a disabled ride vehicle. Passing another raft overtaken by a Dilophosaurus which can be seen eating a poncho, a rescue jeep then falls off the top of a neighboring wall, narrowly missing the ride vehicle. Avoiding a Dilophosaurus spraying the raft, guests make their way into the environmental systems building before being sprayed by 2 more dinosaurs on either side of the river. Attempting to evacuate riders via a steep ramp, the raft is slowly carried by a chain lift, avoiding a velociraptor jumping out of the ceiling above. Going down a small hill, guests then enter a dark corridor where the ride's first T-Rex animatronic, the dinosaur's head, can be seen growling and lunging towards the raft through a hole in the ceiling. Making their way towards a large waterfall, a countdown sequence commences and, as it reaches 1, the attraction's 22-foot-tall T-Rex animatronic is swung towards guests before they plunge 85 feet into darkness and the ride photo is taken. After landing in the water below, the raft slowly moves riders towards the attraction's unloading dock before guests may exit the vehicle and disembark through the Jurassic Outfitters gift shop. After 6 years of development and over $100 million, Jurassic Park The Ride launched at Universal Studios Hollywood on June 21, 1996 to widespread acclaim, with riders praising its theming, fantastic animatronics, and landmark 85-foot drop. Universal Studios had succeeded at bringing a truly fantastic ride to their California park, launching alongside promo from NASCAR driver Jim Gordon's infamous T-Rex car that was famously banned immediately after use, as well as a point-and-click adventure, Jurassic Park The Ride The Game, which follows a worker that has to evacuate the environmental systems building during the attraction's climax. The ride was a mainstay of Universal Studios Hollywood for years after its release. After the success of the attraction in California, it was only a matter of time until the ride made its way into other Universal parks. While early plans for a Jurassic Park area at Universal Studios Florida's original park were in development for the area that would soon become Men in Black Alien Attack, Universal Creative instead decided to pivot and launch an entire Jurassic Park area for their brand new Florida expansion, Islands of Adventure, with slight differences like the falling Jeep being replaced with a crate of velociraptors narrowly following on riders before they enter the environmental systems building, and the name being changed from Jurassic Park The Ride to Jurassic Park River Adventure. The attraction's main beats remain the same. Later being ported to Universal Studios Japan, Jurassic Park River Adventure would open on May 28, 1999 in Orlando and March 31, 2001 in Japan, allowing fans of the films around the world to experience the thrill of Universal Studios' classic water attraction. With 2 more films in the series' original trilogy being released in 1997 and 2001 respectively, the series remained mostly dormant until 2015's Jurassic World. Serving as a starting point for a new trilogy in the Jurassic Park universe, the film takes place 22 years after the events of Jurassic Park and follows the story of John Hammond's dream park finally becoming a reality. While the film was originally intended to release in late 2004, the script would be rewritten several times and go through many directors before finally releasing on June 12, 2015 to critical and commercial acclaim. Grossing over $1.6 billion worldwide, being considered the best Jurassic Park sequel overall by many, and becoming the highest grossing film ever released by Universal, Jurassic World revitalized the series and sparked new interest in the IP. After 22 years of operation at Universal Studios Hollywood, Jurassic Park The Ride was in desperate need of repair and remodeling. Rather than simply fixing some animatronics and playing with the scenery though, Universal Creative instead began a complete remodel of the attraction in 2018. Closing for 10 months, Jurassic Park The Ride would be re-themed to Jurassic World The Ride, following the adventures of the film's main characters Bryce Dallas Howard's Claire and Chris Pratt's Owen. Guests now enter the attraction's queue through new Jurassic World gates and walk through switchbacks with signs describing the different dinosaurs featured on the attraction. attraction. With a new Q video interviewing the film's main characters and providing facts on creatures from the film, guests then board the new white ride vehicles before embarking on the river adventure. After going up the small ramp, guests slowly make their way through the entry of the river before encountering 4 large screens depicting a mosasaurus swimming and eating a shark. Using a 3D effect, the screens are able to provide depth to the animation and make it look more lifelike and feel more like a real water tank. Passing by, riders then enter a lush area featuring 2 stegosaurus animatronics before being splashed by a parasaurolophilus. Entering Predator Cove, the raft moves past a gyrosphere vehicle that had been overtaken by 2 small dinosaurs. After hearing from Claire that dinosaurs had escaped their containment areas, the raft then moves into the Tyrannosaurus Rex kingdom. Spotting the Indominus Rex through a hole in the wall, guests then begin their ascent up the steep ride hill while being assured by Owen that everything will be okay. After a small drop, the raft moves through the dark enclosure and is sprayed by a Dilophosaurus. Riders are guided through the exhibit by Blue, the film's friendly velociraptor, before a close call with a 55-foot-long, 22-foot-tall Indominus Rex animatronic. Being saved by a giant T-Rex animatronic swinging out from the darkness, guests finally plunge 84 feet before slowly making their way towards the attraction's exit through the gift shop. Releasing on July 12, 2019 to mostly positive reviews, the new animatronics and theming was praised by riders, but with some missing the original charm of Jurassic Park The Ride. Receiving a second refurbishment in 2022 with the attraction's Indominus Rex animatronic receiving an overhaul and displaying much more movement, the retheme certainly brought the attraction into the modern age of theme parks. While many miss Universal Studios Hollywood's original theming to the first Jurassic trilogy, Jurassic World The Ride has created a unique experience unavailable at any other Universal park in the world. And with river adventures still existing at both Islands of Adventure and Universal Japan, the legacy of the attraction remains safe and preserved. Let me know down in the comments what you think of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World The Ride, and thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you'd like to stick around for more theme park lore, and I'll see you in the next video.